Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk about some armies in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and in particular, we're going to talk about 8 armies that are great to play in the Magic phase, or rather the Hero phase, and the Magic is obviously part of the Hero phase. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about particular armies you can use if you want to play a magic heavy army in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and we're going to go through those armies, talk about exactly what they've got going for them. So we'll start off with talking about their sub-factions, their abilities, and then looking at some key units as well, along with those sort of key abilities, sub-factions, artifacts, and all that sort of stuff for each one of these 8 different factions. So without further ado, let's get cracking on. This is our list of 8, and it is by no means a comprehensive list, but this is just some ideas to get you in the right state of mind of if this is certainly something you want to do with your army in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. First up, we have the Disciples of Tzeentch. Now, the key abilities and rules for this guy. The army is really just good in general at magic. It's got a very wide and deep pool of different wizarding options. You've got nearly every hero in your army available to cast magic, and you've even got units that either are wizards themselves or give you benefits to your magic and to your summoning, which is based off your magic. You've got strong spell laws both for your demons and for your mortals that have a variety of damage and utility spells in them, which is great. You don't want a law that focuses on one thing, you want that mix of damage and utility if you're going to focus on magic, because you're going to need both. Destiny dice is a cool mechanic for Tzeentch where they roll a bunch of dice at the start of the game, and these can be used to predetermine results. So say you roll a 5 and a 6 at the start of the game, in those Destiny dice you can use them both at the same time to go, I'm going to make this casting roll 11 by using my 5 and 6 in my Destiny dice, and there's ways you can get them back with magic. Summoning, as mentioned, is based off spells being cast both by you and by your opponent, and this means you've just got a lot of things going for you with trying to push towards having a magic build for the army. There is a particular sub-faction called the Guild of Summoners, which you might be surprised to learn is all about summoning. It allows you to get your greater demons, the Lords of Change, out quicker. And this, of course, magic produces summoning, so therefore your magic is generally pretty good in there as well. Looking at some key units, Kairos Fateweaver is a super strong spellcaster. He's a 3-cast wizard, and he's got a cool ability where when he rolls a casting roll, the lowest dice becomes the value of the highest dice. So as soon as you roll a 6, you got a 12. As soon as you roll a 4, you got an 8, which is really, really cool. And he has the ability to know nearby friendly wizard spells as well, so he's just got a ton of utility on him as well. Now, he can also automatically dispel 1 endless spell per turn, which is really nice, and once per battle, he can just change a dice roll flat up. This is so useful for just doing things to your opponent, and sometimes even saving yourself. Now, the Blue Scribes is another unit option I like. They've got a spell that allows them to give other friendly Tzeentch wizards nearby them the ability to reroll casting rolls, so super good for buffing your other wizards up, and they can learn other wizard spells by taking them. You also can cast spells on the hero phase. On a 2-up, they've got a cool rule where they sort of choose to roll a single dice, and on a 2-up they get it, which is nice. And then lastly, the Curseling. Now, the other two are really offensive sort of builds, and I like the Curseling for his more defensive side. He's got the ability to reroll unbinding and dispelling attempts, which is solid for those spells you don't want to attack you back. And he can cast and dispel 2 spells a turn. And he can also steal other wizards' spells when he tries to dispel them, or with his own spell glean magic. So he's really useful as well. Number 2, Lumineth Realm-lords. Key abilities and rules for the army. I mean, they've just got strong wizard options and access to a load of wizards, including a heap of wizard units across the army. There are so many units inside this army that are wizards. Now, Scenarii units themselves have a cool ability, which are a type of Lumineth. There are many different types of Lumineth elves. Scenarii can contemplate 1 turn and then auto-cast a spell on a 9 the next round. This is really cool for sort of planning ahead. There are some really nice, cool benefits to Lumineth. When you start playing in that more thinking a turn ahead manner, you really get the most out of them. Aether Quartz, which is an army-wide rule, every unit gets some Aether Quartz during the game, is able to be used to either give +1 to a casting roll or to allow the wizard to re-roll a result on the casting spell. And then you've also got a sub-faction called Tzeentch, which is wizard-focused and gives hero wizards an extra spells, and also gives all wizards bonuses to cast Dispel and Unbind as well, which is just nice. The Shrine Luminor as well, which is your terrain piece for your Lumineth Realm-lords army, grants a single reroll per turn to a wizard hero within range of it. Speaking of key units, there is none better than Teclis himself, who is arguably the best wizard in the entire game. He never rolls to cast, he just chooses an amount of spells he wants to cast from 2 to 4, and there is a set value for these spells to be cast at. If he chooses 4, they're cast on a 10. If he chooses 3, they're cast on a 12. If he chooses 2, they're automatically cast and can't be unbound. He's just got access to a ton of good spells as well, a 5-up ward across the army wide, and then he provides +1 to casting, unbinding, and dispelling to wizards around him, and can automatically dispel 1 spell per turn and allow nearby enemy units to ignore the effects of spells and endless spells. So not only is he good offensively, he's great defensively as well, and he's also a buff piece for your other wizards. Just essential if you want to build a magic-heavy Lumineth force. The Vanari Lord Regent is another great piece. He's got a 3+ save, which makes him a super survivable wizard, which is really nice. And his War Scroll spell allows for some really nice magical combos on your other nearby units of Vanari. His War Scroll spell is effectively the same one that is the Power of Haiish on your spearmen, your archers, and your cavalry. They've all got it. He just does it on D3 units rather than 1, so him casting that and then allowing all your other units to cast their spells is really useful. Alania and Elafor are the other nice one. They're a fantastic solo operative unit, and they've also got built-in spellcasting bonuses for a +1 standard, so they can be a nice little solo unit to go around and do some stuff. Number 3, Gloomspite Gitz. Now, the key abilities and rules. They've got access to a bunch of different wizarding options in the army. They've got many 2-cast wizards, and many have some really cool special rules which can help with their casting. Gloomspite Gitz have really good spell laws for both their major types. Both the Moonclan and the Spiderfang have really interesting spell laws. A lot of buffs, a lot of debuffs, some damage in there as well, which is great. So good utility with those spell laws. Now, they've also got the ability, when the light of the bad moon shines on them, they get some cool bonuses to their wizards, and they generally have pretty cheap wizards as well, so you can fill out a lot of wizards. You might not necessarily have the best wizards in the game, but you can get a lot of them. Just throwing so many spells at your opponent just can't possibly dispel them all. Now, key units for the army. Skragrott the Loon King is essential for a magic-focused Gloomspite Gitz army. He's got the ability to cast and dispel 2 spells a turn based on his War Scroll, and also gets bonuses to cast and unbind standard as well, which is really cool. He's got the ability to control the Bad Moon once per game, which gives you the ability of enabling you to control when you're going to get that magical benefit and where it's going to hit. So getting some extra magical benefits across your army is really fun. And he's also going to grant you some extra command points as well. And got a really fun War Scroll spell, Nick It, where he can steal enemy artifacts. The Fungoid Cave Shaman is another great shaman available to the army, and he's got the ability to get some extra command points as well, so you can just generate so many extra command points with Gloomspite Gitz, and once per game he can cast an extra spell, making him a 2-cast wizard for a single turn. A built-in ward save for him, and Skragrott has one as well, is just really nice as it saves you an artifact there, and you can use those artifacts for something else. The Web Spinner Shaman on the Arachnarok Spider is the last one I really like. It provides a spellcasting bonus to nearby Spiderfang wizards, which includes itself, and it's got a strong War Scroll spell as well. It's also a decent combat wizard monster. A lot of them are a little bit flimsy, but this one actually packs a decent amount of punch and is not too shabby. Number 4, Skaven. Key abilities and rules for the army. You've got lots of strong dual-cast wizards across the force, and the ability to deploy arcane terrain in the form of your Norholves, which is your faction terrain at the start of the table. Just access to a ton of different dual-cast wizards. I can name 5 off the top of my head quite easily, and that's just the Vermin-lords starting it off. Now, you've got a strong spell laws as well in the War of Warp Galvanism and the Gracier's normal law as well. Both of these have access to a variety of different utility buffing spells and some damage spells in there as well. And you've just got loads of wizard options. Beyond those dual casters, there's just so many wizard options. From small wizard heroes that are much cheaper to your dual casters, which can still be small heroes. You've got your big chariots, monster heroes that can cast magic, and more besides. Just a ton of different options available. So you really can do a very much, not only just giving yourself, I guess, quantity of wizards, but actually some quality as well. Now, key units, the Arch Warlock is a big favourite of mine. A 3-up save dual cast wizard is just good. Like, he's survival for a foot hero wizard. He's got access to the Law of Warp Galvanism, which has a great buff spell called More Warp Power. This is just essential for buffing up some of your big clan Scry units. It's a solid spell. And he's also got the ability to supercharge his War Scroll spell to do extra damage, though he can potentially kill himself as well. I mean, that's part of the fun with Skaven. So you've also got Thankor on Bone Ripper, the named character. He's a strong, fighty and or shooty wizard option. He can choose to sort of load himself out in a couple of different ways, and really interesting on how those loadouts sort of work. Just a really good option for you. He's got built-in spellcasting bonuses and a built-in ward save as well, which is really nice for a named character. He's got the ability to ingest Warpstone as well to supercharge his spells, or once again, potentially kill himself. The Gracie on Screaming Bell is my last suggestion. A really survivable wizard, once again, with a built-in ward save. It's just something Skaven have going for them on their wizards. You can randomly cause a bunch of varying effects, which can be more casting bonuses, or even summoning a Vermin-lord to the table, another wizard. And, you know, he's just a 2-cast wizard himself, which is just really, really nice. Number 5, Cities of Sigmar. Key abilities and rules for the army. They have 2 sub-factions that are more wizard-focused, and Hallowheart and Settlers Gain. Hallowheart is inside the Battle Tome, and Settlers Gain is inside Broken Realms Techless. And they do have strong spell loss army-wide. This exists outside of these 2 sub-factions. There are so many good spell laws throughout the book. Living City, Hammerhall, Anvilgard, and Harkuron all have really, really good spell laws available to them outside of, obviously, Settlers Gain and Hallowheart themselves. Now, you've also got so many ways to attain bonuses inside Hallowheart. It's not uncommon to be able to get something like a 20 to cast in a Hallowheart army. That is totally a possibility. They've got some really cool abilities that allow you to add extra to your casting roll by taking some damage. If you're playing a narrative play, they've got access to some War Scroll battalions. And then also the army, once again, just army-wide, has access to just +1 to cast endless spells, which is really nice. This has changed from the empowered endless spells as written in the Battle Tome as it's currently been updated. Settlers Gain, however, focuses more on bringing in Lumineth Realm-lords to help the Free Guild and Collegiate Arcane units, and your Arcane units inside that army do gain just a flat +1 to cast, which is nice. Also, I'll leave a video up in the top of the video here you can look on, as there's a really interesting Battle Mage on Griffin build, I think, inside Settlers Gain. Key units wise, Sorceress is amazing. She has the ability to sacrifice a nearby friendly Darkman Covens model to get flat up +2 to cast, and she's got a really strong War Scroll spell which is D3 damage with mortal wounds, but also -1 to hit on a unit as well. A Celestial Hurricaneum is another great unit, which can be a wizard or a support piece without the wizard crew, however you want to go, looking at points. And it gives you the ability of +1 to cast to nearby friendly Collegiate Arcane wizards. Battle Mages are the last unit I suggest, as they've just got access to a plethora of different spells. When you pick a Battle Mage, you choose that Battle Mage to become from a realm. Now, this gives you access to a variety of different spells. There are 8 different spells on the War Scroll, so this model just has the ability to turn into so many different pieces for your army. Number 6, the Soulblight Gravelords. Now, their key abilities and rules. The Vrykos sub-faction really is the one you're wanting to go for. They grant your Vampire Wizards rerolls to their casting attempts, which is just solid. So some really good base sort of benefits for your spellcasting force. The Law of the Death Mages is a really strong spell law and has a great variety of different spells, from debuffs, buffs, and some damage spells and other utility in there. And while the other spell law, the Law of the Vampires, isn't full of as many options, it does have some really good standout spells within the lore, like Amethystine Opinions. You've got strong spellcasting named characters throughout the army. We're talking key units, and we'll talk a couple of those named characters, but there are so many more than just these ones. Belladama Volga, firstborn of the Vrykos. She's a dual casting and dispelling wizard just straight off the bat. Really solid. And she's got built-in casting and unbinding rolls and dispelling bonuses. And she can also shrug off damage to nearby direwolf units, making her a little bit more survivable. She's also got a really wide pool of War Scroll spells with 3 different War Scroll spells on her War Scroll, which is just nice, giving her a ton of different utility through the army. Of course, where would we be without mentioning Nagash, the Lord of Undeath himself? 3+ save and 16 wounds on a really good wizard is just amazing. He's also no slouch in combat. He gets +3 to cast when undamaged, and then he can also cast a ton of spells when he's undamaged. This does degrade both of these things, but when he's in top bracket, he is going to do so much magic. He's got strong War Scroll spells, with Hand of Dust being rightly feared across the game, as he can literally insta-kill any model he wants, apart from those that can't be insta-killed because they've got special rules, and he can multicast Arcane Bolt to go off like a machine gun. Corpse Count with Unholy Lodestone is another cool little bit you can add to your army, as it just provides a nice casting bonus to nearby wizards. Number 7, Seraphon. Key abilities and rules for the army start with the Star Masters being able to choose to replace the spell they know from the Law of Celestial Domination each turn with a different spell from said law. This is just really useful, as it allows you to continuously change up and have the utility of different spells available to you when you need them throughout the course of the game, which is just a ton of fun and really good for just the utility of the army. You also have access to choose a constellation once per game, and one of them can provide you with spellcasting bonuses army-wide. And you've got a great mix of both cheap wizards in your skink wizards and also more powerful wizards in some of the more skink heroes are more mid-range cost, but also your Slans and Lord Croak at the top, and we'll talk about them in a second. You've got strong and versatile spell lords to back all these powerful wizards up and all these utility wizards up, which is just great. You can really focus heavily on magic with Seraphon thanks to just this variety of spells and also wizards of different costs that you can use. Now, key units wise, we've got a Slan Starmaster in first, a 3-cast and Unbind Wizard, which is just amazing to begin with, but they also add one to the casting, unbinding, and dispelling rolls while also being able to unbind enemy spells anywhere on the table. Lord Croak has many of these same things. He, however, is a cast 4 and unbind 4 wizard, and he has +2 to his casting rolls, unbinding, and dispelling rolls rather than the +1, and once again, he can also unbind enemy spells anywhere on the table. He also has a War Scroll spell that he can cast up to 3 times that can do a ton of mortal wounds. This is really great when paired with something like an Umbral Spell Portal. He casts out the Spell Portal with his first cast, does this 3 times, and can do a ton of mortal wound damage out of that Spell Portal. The Astrolith Bearer he's got is another great piece to add into your army. He gives out a +1 to cast all friendly nearby Seraphon units. It also gives you a 6-up ward save to nearby friendly Seraphon units as well, which is great for keeping some of those heroes alive and not having to use an artifact to provide them with a 6-up ward save. And lastly, number 8, Sylvaneth. Now, key abilities and rules, they have a sub-faction called Null Rule that is sort of semi-wizard focused. It has bonuses around the wizards, but not all of them are directly for wizards. Now, this sub-faction has a great artifact for use on wizards. It allows you to roll 3 dice when casting or unbinding spells with the wizard that gets this artifact, and you can pick the 2 dice from those 3 that you wish to use, normally the highest. Now, you've also got strong wizards with access to the entire spell lore, and we'll talk about them in a second, and the Null Wizard Generals that successfully cast spells. Since the command trait you have to take, put it on one of your non-named character heroes, and you get to heal when you cast those spells. Null Wizards also provide rerolls to 1 to hit for nearby enemy units, so this makes Null Wizards that can go into combat pretty decent as well. Now, looking at key units, Alara the Everqueen is a great place to start. She can cast and unbind at 3 spells a turn. She's got strong War Scroll spells to go along with knowing the whole of the army spell lore, and she's a decent combat fighter doing mortal wounds, having some really cool insta-kill abilities, and she's got, those War Scroll spells are really, really useful. She can turn things into trees, which is awesome. The Warsong Revenant is another great wizard available to the army. He can cast and unbind 2 spells a turn, and once again knows the whole of the spell lore. A built-in ward save of a 4+, and +1 to casting, unbinding, and dispelling built in as well, whilst he's near Awakened Wildwoods. He's also got the ability, once again, to summon Wildwoods to the table, as do all Sylvaneth wizards. Drycha Hamadreth is a fun wizard. She's a pretty strong damage dealing wizard. She's going to get access to those rerolls of 1 to hit in combat thanks to being Null Root, which is nice. She's got a base 3-up save as well, which is decent for her survivability. You do have a few 3-up armor save wizards available to the Sylvaneth army. Well, that's it for the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you can come and join our Discord server and come chat with me and other members of our fun little community over there. You'll find a link in the description of the video. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so by going and joining either our Patreon or YouTube members. Both of them have descriptions and links in the video's description. And we would like to give a shout out to everyone who does support via Patreon and YouTube members. Thanks to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, and Samuel. And thanks to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Crystal Rollis, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, and Ariana Edwards. Lastly, a special shout out to Lady Witch Fox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and 2X Morphic, who does all the background work on our Discord server. Thank you all for watching once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.